Happy 2026, my friends. I have some wisdom for January to share with you. Couple things. We started the year with a pileup of planets in Capricorn. Now, it's always Capricorn season at January 1st, so the sun will always be in Capricorn. Mercury always travels very closely to the sun, so you'll usually have at least Mercury and the sun in Capricorn. But this year on January 1st, we also had Venus and Mars in Capricorn. So Capricorn is very much the archetypal energy of what are we taking seriously? What do we feel is very important, is worth our time, our energy, our commitment, that we're willing to be patient and persistent around and keep showing up in order to accomplish something. So that's Capricorn energy, right? Very driven, very ambitious, and has a lot of integrity and sense of responsibility of if this matters, I'm going to show up and I'm going to give it my best effort. So with the sun in Capricorn, it's shining on that area of your chart personally where you have Capricorn. So you want to look at where's Capricorn in my chart? What cusp, what house cusp is it ruling? But also what houses is it falling into? Because every time of this year, from like December, from the winter solstice, whether that's December 20th, 21st, 22nd, through when we begin Aquarius season, which I'll speak to soon, the sun is shining on that area of your chart. And that's an area which is asking to be taken seriously, to bring your light and your energy and your vitality to at this time of year. With Venus there, it's also showing you this year, now, right now. Actually, Venus will be there in Capricorn through January 17th. That's when it moves to Aquarius. The Sun and Mercury will also be in Capricorn until they move into Aquarius on January 20th. Mars will be in Capricorn until January 23rd when it moves into Aquarius. So from the beginning of the year until those dates, it's showing you something about how you want to show up with intention, with commitment, with perseverance to shine light on that area that you're taking seriously. The Venus shows you what you value and also how you are being valued. And Mars is about action. These are my goals. Get out of my way. I am driven. I am competitive. I want to win at this. And I'm going to jump into action to make something happen. And the Mercury is really about what we need to learn, what information we need to gather, who we need to have a conversation with, how we want our communication to be serious, intentional, purpose driven towards our goals. So take a look and see where that's happening. Now, when everything shifts into Aquarius, that's a very different kind of energy because Aquarius is about wanting more freedom, wanting to break away from this success model of I'm driven by my ambitions and my success and how others see me and how I'm perceived and what I want to accomplish. And it's more driven by what feels authentic. Who am I and who and how do I want to express that in my own way, uniquely, not following anybody else's rules, not being one of the sheep or the masses, but really making my own mark and having freedom and individuality. So everything's shifting into Aquarius. We also have Pluto in the universe has been in Aquarius for the better part of the last 2 years. It's going to be there for a very long time. And so now we're going to have a massive pileup of planets, 5 planets, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Pluto all in Aquarius. So you want to look at where that is in your chart, which will follow right after Capricorn. So in what area of your chart, of your life, are you seeking to really authentically live according to your own ideals and terms and rules of engagement and give a little bit of pushback and rejection of sort of the status quo and what is conventional, right? Because Aquarius is really unconventional. I'm going to do this my own way. I'm going to be progressive and innovative and, think in a different outside the box kind of way about this. So you want to take a look because that's then towards the end of the month where you're going to feel this has value, this has merit. I adore this kind of freedom, this self-expression. I'm bringing my energy to that. I'm in action around that. And also, like, what do I need to learn and communicate around that? Who am I having those conversations with? Um, so that's a little bit about that. At the end of the month, January 26th, Neptune is moving into Aries. I know I previewed a little bit of this energy in the Astrology of 2026 video. If you haven't seen that yet, you can go back and watch that. But Neptune is moving into Aries. There was a quick hit of that last year. It dabbled and then it retrograded back into Pisces. And now it's really coming into Aries to stay for the duration for like the next 14 years. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's this very masculine, cardinal, initiating fire energy of what do I want? I want it now. And I'm going to get it and I'm going to go for it. Get out of my way. Let's do this thing. There's an impulsivity, there's an urgency, there's, a very strong sense of self and desire and, a little bit of assertiveness, aggression, potentially anger, rage, violence. So that's more the negative shadow side of Aries. But Neptune is really the planet which, on its very highest, it's about transcendence. It's about higher consciousness. It's about elevating our perspective and awareness so that we understand that we are existing in service of, as part of some unified consciousness, whether you call that God or the cosmos, but we are part of something. We are not separate than it. That's a very Neptunian understanding. So Neptune on a soul level wants to connect with that which is transcendent through practices of consciousness and paying attention to our dreams, our intuition, what our soul and spirit and emotions are telling us. Ways to connect our meditation and prayer and through music, which poetry, art, imagination, film, all these things which bring us into a different perspective, a perspective that involves emotional and soul intelligence and awareness. When Neptune moves into Aries, there's something about understanding our ideals, our vision, our higher sense of what God is, what this world is asking us. Where do I fit in this cosmic world? And then connecting it to the very personal, right? Neptune's very transpersonal. Aries is very personal. It's like me at the center. So there's an opportunity with Neptune in Aries to really understand that you are your own individual, unique expression of God consciousness in the world, right? Now, how might that be misused or misapplied? The shadow side of Neptune is escapism, whether through addiction and substance use or just laziness, procrastination, being completely checked out, like I don't want to deal with day-to-day reality, so I'm just going to float in space somewhere. Um, that's a maladaptive use of Neptunian energy. Another kind of negative side of Neptune is it sometimes is about what we're not seeing, right? Because Neptune is the under the oceans and the sea and the mist and the clouds. So we don't always see clearly. We have a big imagination, we have ideals, but we're not necessarily pragmatic or realistic. So Neptune in Aries on a sort of negative cautionary side could be having unrealistic ideals or understanding of what God or spirit wants of us, and then being very impulsive and violent about how we act on that, right? Very selfish on how we act on that. Um, Another maladaptive use might be just really having a lot of escapist tendencies around your own desires, right? And to the exclusion of your relationships, your work in the world, your responsibilities. But a really positive use of that, again, is to understand what is your vision on a soul level. What am I really imagining? And in my, fantasy, this is what I'm capable of on a soul level. This is how I could really bring some goodness and something more meaningful and transcendent and beautiful into the world. So, how do I connect that with my action and really do it, get started and make it happen? So, it is about understanding like your unique expression and moving forward with that. I hope that's helpful and gives you something to think about. I'll say more about this Aries energy when Saturn moves into Aries next month and comes into a conjunction with Neptune, and we can unpack that a little bit more. But I hope this is helpful for now. Good luck to you in this month. If you have set any goals and intentions for yourself with resolutions for the new year, or just, a sense of what am I working on? And then how do I bring my own individual flair to that? I'd love to hear what you're up to. Please share with me and reach out anytime I can help. See you again in February.